Welcome to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thank you for hanging out with us again this week. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world of craft beer like we always do. And there's always some fun drama, some news, maybe some science-y stuff, some history. We won't spoil it just yet, but there's always something going on. You can count on that. So Tim is on assignment this week. They got him working, and with me is the one and only, thank goodness, Mo Magnate. Mo Magnate, how are you doing on this fine day?
I'm doing well. I think you always say, thank goodness, that I'm Mo Mike instead of No Mike Nate whenever it's just you and I doing these. Because, it'd be a one-sided conversation if it was No Mike Nate.
Yeah, well, it's the one and only is the thank goodness part. There can't be more than one of you. That would be entirely too many.
That'd be confusing. Brian, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. It's been an average week. It's not, there's nothing particularly special about it. It's not short. I've had a few days off that have made for some short weeks, but about average. It's not overly bad, not overly good. It's kind of in, I don't know, neutral cruise control right now. Okay. So, yeah, no real complaints.
All right. So with an average week, let's talk about the highlight of your week. What are some of your beers of the week this time?
Yes. Very good segue into that. So, yes, I got started pregame, and I like to do a lot of prep before the show, get things ready, dust things off, that sort of thing, adjust mics and headphones. But while I'm doing it, I was drinking a Bierstadt Lagerhaus Slow Pour Pils, which is a wonderful German Pilsner. I was just sitting there. I had to take a minute thinking about, man, this is possibly one of the best Pilsners I've ever had. Like, when you just really sit down and actually think about it while you're drinking it. I have been guilty at times of drinking my pregame beer and just while I'm working and not really thinking about it. And then at the end of it, I think, oh man, I drank it all and I barely noticed it. I hate that. But this time I took a moment and I appreciated it. It was beautiful. So if you can get your hands on some slow pour pills, get some. If you can make it over to the brewery, definitely do that. I think the experience would be greatly enhanced by that. But moving on to what's in my glass now, I am drinking a Creature Comforts Fonta Flora collaboration called First Time, Long Time, which is a New England double IPA. And the name is a reference to, it's a radio reference. I'm not sure if half of our audience is probably too young to be familiar with talk radio, but it's like first time caller, long time listener. And of course, we were on the radio for a while. So I see something like that. It's like, well, obviously I have to get it. And I was thinking, like, what's the deal with this beer? Why the radio reference? Like, neither Creature Comforts nor Fonta Flora have obvious connections to radio. I was looking at the beer's description, and I get it. They have been friends for a long time, but this is the first time they've ever collaborated on a beer. So that's what the reference is. I'm like, okay, cool. That makes it all make sense, because I'm like, what is this radio reference? I'm like, I'm intrigued, but whatever. Anyway, so I thought that was fun. I was amused by it. And with the Patreon folks in our after party that we always do, I am going to get into a can of Civil Society Brewing's Chicken Tendy Sub. And yes, I did buy this beer because of the name and because the art on it amused me. As to why this is called Chicken Tendy Sub, I don't know. And I don't think beers necessarily have to have reasons for their names anymore. They just have names, There's beers called Okra and things like that for no apparent reason. But it does sound very cool. I've never had a Civil Society beer before. It's a New England double IPA. It's another one. And it's hop with Citra Incognito in the Whirlpool. And then it's dry hop with Mosaic, Citra Eldorado, Cashmere, and Citra Cryo. So I'm expecting a lot of amazing hops in this beer. So I'm pretty excited about it. I love the can. I love the artwork. I love the name. It's everything about this I like. So it's kind of like, I think a lot of people will see this and like, the people who complain about craft beer and the dumb names, they don't get it. I love this stuff. I think this is great. So that's why I keep buying it. So they can keep doing it, and I will,
I feel like with those IPAs, those bigger, the doubles, the New Englands, whatnot, they have some weird names. I mean, Other Half with their okra and their broccoli, and Treehouse with their green, and all sorts of just different wacky names, or even like Who Farted with their play on word beer names.
And they've got the $60 nachos. One of their IPAs is called, I think it's called $60 nachos, and I love it. Their art's ridiculous. The name is ridiculous. And when you look at it, there's so many beers that are coming out every year. Like the time the period of time where you could give a good, thoughtful name to a beer, I think that's mostly gone because so many names have been taken for beer. So people are just like, what's funny or what's interesting, like Smart Light Bulb. That could be the next IPA. And I just say that because I'm looking at a package of Smart Light Bulbs. So, I mean, anything will work now because honestly, it's just a legal matter. Now you got to be able to trademark a name. And man, there are so many names you can't use anymore. So,
well, shoot, that's why you and Tim used to name your homebrews with the first three things that you saw in the garage, right?
Yes, actually, two of them, and we didn't have a name for it, and we looked around the brew house, which is Tim's garage, and like gas can Viking helmet, boom, that was the name of a beer.
There you go,
and it was a great beer, and I still remember the name. I don't remember a lot of our beers that we brewed, 10 or more years ago. I don't want to say how long because it makes me feel old, but the craziness of the name made it super memorable, and it was actually a surprisingly good beer. It was kind of I think it was a homebrew competition kind of experimental thing where they gave us some grain. You got to brew a beer with this, and so we came up with that. But anyway, I've been talking for a long time. Mike, Nate, what are you drinking?
So this week is a white stripe week for me. So in my glass at the moment from Lyre's. We've talked about this brand a lot. This is one of our favorite NA non-alcoholic brands that we've had many a time on the show. So this is their Amalfi Spritz. It's the last can out of my fridge. I really enjoy this. It's a pre-made cocktail, and it tastes incredible. And then on deck from Mockley, which is a non-alcoholic libations producer from New Orleans, we've got their Herbal Tangerine Elixir, and this is a brand that my friend represents and sells for in the Atlanta area. And I'm excited to try it. I haven't had it before. I know nothing about it, but it seems to contain some really cool some like tangerine juice, and so I'm expecting it to be fruity and maybe a little tangy, and should be a good time.
No CBD or any other kind of interesting functional and non-functional things?
No, I think this is just a non-alcoholic. I don't really partake in any of that stuff. So no, no, it's just a non-alcoholic. It's like a mocktail.
Yeah, the Lyre's is that reminds me. You were talking about that. I'm going to talk about our Discord. One of the people in our Discord, one of our Patreons, was asking about recommendations for non-alcoholic beverages because they know we're into them. We check those out. We do. I occasionally drink them, lunchtime during the work week when I want something that feels like a beer, but I don't want any of the impact of a beer. It's great to be able to reach for something non-alcoholic. Lyre's has been great. I think I've been very impressed with those. And what's the Dark and Stormy is the one I had, and I thought that was great. And yeah, it's would you agree that's basically right now the best non-alcoholic kind of canned cocktail and possibly non-alcoholic liquor producer out there?
In my opinion, and in my limited exposure to various brands of canned NA mocktails and bottled NA like straight spirits, that's my favorite brand. And being that it's my favorite, I would, in my opinion, say that it's the best brand.
Fair enough. And this isn't an ad; they don't pay us, so I kind of wish they would. Lyre's, you want to pay us? You totally can, and then we'll come up with a way of pitching you more often. But legitimately, I like their stuff a lot, and Mike Nate does too. And yeah, if you're ever in the market for that, but I don't know. We've talked about this enough. Let's head over into the stories. I'm going to get started on the first one about ancient Vikings and drinking and beer halls and things like that.
As they are wont to do.
Yeah. Well, they got to do something. Like they spend a lot of time rowing their boats and attacking and fighting and pillaging and all that sort of thing. And at some point they got to hang out and have a few beers and have some food. So where might they do that? Well, archaeologists in Scotland have recently uncovered a 43-foot long, 1,100-year-old Norse drinking hall. And it's not just any drinking hall. They believe this is where the elite chieftains did their drinking. So this is a special place. The discovery was unexpected. The team that was doing the digging was just, digging up an old farming complex, trying to figure out what the ancient people that were there, what they ate and how they fished and what they did, that sort of thing. And they found this drinking hall. Although it's only partially excavated, the hall's stone walls appear to have been more than 3 feet thick. So these are some serious. I don't know if they were planning on holding up in the drinking hall too, if they were ever attacked or not, but that's some pretty serious walls. And the team also found stone benches running down both sides of the long walls inside the hall, so plenty of seating for drinking. And the team also found oh yeah, I was going to go over that again. The Vikings built this specific beer hall right on the coast, and they seem to have intentionally oriented it so they looked straight down towards the sea. I mean, who doesn't like a bar with a view? But I also wonder if that was strategic, so they could be boozing it up, but keeping an eye on the coast to make sure other Vikings weren't coming in to do a little pillaging on them. So anyway, in addition to the hall stone benches, the people doing the digging have also come across some similar items or some smaller items, similar eras, that sort of thing. But like pottery, various tools, parts of a Norse bone comb, because you got to keep your hair nice. And the hall sits in the legendary site called Scale Farmstead, which history suggests is the stomping grounds of Earl Sigurd, a Norse chieftain mentioned in the historical island sagas, Norse mythology, I guess. And there's a very real chance that Earl Sigurd himself sat on these exact stone benches to drink flagons of ale with his officers. I think he was a real guy. Orkney, which is the island where the site is located, was once a seat of power in the Norse Empire, which is why you'd find a fancy Viking drinking bar in such a remote northern part of Scotland. And it is really far up there. I didn't even realize there were islands up there until I did a Google search for where's Orkney? It's oh, okay, it's way up there. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. If the walls are going to be about 3 feet thick, I would think that might be, and strategically placed on the coast, it might be their main defensive holding point, especially if this is where all the elite chieftains sat and drank.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking double duty here because, for the most part, you have your elite guys hanging out there drinking. It's kind of, I don't know how they did plans their attacks, but if you have all your chieftains there, you're drinking, maybe you're planning all your war up there too. And if you're attacked, what better place to have all your high-ranking officials than in the most fortified place around that's full of beer and probably food? And
we should talk about our war plans the next time we get together for a bottle share.
That's a great idea. Yes, let's do that. Yeah,
my walls aren't 3 feet thick, but
I was going to say, I don't think your walls are not thick enough. I know that, and I think that that sliding glass door in the back is definitely not going to hold up against a Viking invasion.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, let's moving on. Let's get into some beer drama. I do like my beer drama. We all love our beer drama. So yeah, this week we learned that Wisconsin state officials completely cleared out all of the canned beer belonging to Minocqua Brewing Company. The stated reason for the raid is that the brewery had allegedly brought beer brewed in Illinois into Wisconsin without paying Wisconsin taxes or holding the proper interstate permits. All told, the state seized about $25,000 worth of beer, so not an insubstantial amount, or about half of the brewery's sellable inventory. But what makes this story really interesting, and you're kind of wondering, is this is a weird story. I'm do I know Minocqua? Why are we talking about this? What makes it really interesting is the brewery's recent history in the past, year or two. You might remember us talking about the brewery's owner, posting on social media about a big party at the brewery when a certain head of state dies. It's this guy we're talking about. He's made a lot of, politically charged, social media posts. Well, the owner is now publicly accusing the Wisconsin's Democratic governor of using state agencies to enact personal political revenge against him. I would have assumed he would have looked higher up in the government chain for this, but no, he's going there. It seems he also targeted the governor in some of his social media posts, and he was I guess he's apparently trying to run for governor too, or making an attempt at making a run. So he claims that the lack of leniency from the Department of Revenue is an attempt to come. It basically borders on malicious harassment. He's trying to come into compliance. They're not letting him do it. Apparently, the Department of Revenue has been investigating the brewery, since sometime last year when they got a complaint, and they don't say who the complaint was from, but they never do they, with those things? So anyway, it's interesting drama. I wouldn't be surprised if this was politically motivated. It does seem possible. The dude is definitely making some enemies, but at the same time, it does it sounds like he was playing a little fast and loose with laws around alcohol, and you never want to do that. I don't think they don't have, they're not a lot of flexibility and leniency when it comes to, laws and, regulations about alcohol. They'll shut you down pretty fast. So it's hard to say. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. But apparently the brewery has already filed a lawsuit against the State Department of Revenue, claiming the brewery is being blocked from selling its Illinois brewed beer in Wisconsin. In the suit, they allege that the agency did not give them a way to pay the approximately $500 in outstanding excise taxes before seizing the beer. They didn't say anything about the permits. Apparently there was some permitting issue too. The owner also claims that this is the first step towards revoking the brewery's permit. So this is kind of a juicy story. We're gonna have to keep an eye on this one. I have a feeling like it could get a little spicier. I don't know how it's gonna go for the guy. I'm like, he's got a lot of support in social media. A lot of people side with his thoughts on things, and I did read that in some of his, I think some of his beer sells out online before he even brews it. So he's got a lot of okay. He's got that kind of support where people are just buying it because they support his point of view, basically. So that helps him out. But at the same time, if you're taking on the government typically has a lot more resources than you do, and they don't have to be nearly as flexible. They don't have to. They can kind of do what they want with things. So yeah, I don't know where this is going to go.
It's one thing to use your freedom of speech to say we're going to throw a party when X person of a head of state passes away. It's another thing to this is the allegation from the state, so we're going to leave it at that. But he's accused of skirting on his excise taxes. It's another thing to put a bunch of beer that was brewed in a different state, a truck that's blasting Dukes of Hazzard soundtrack as they drive it back to Wisconsin. If you're gonna smuggle some alcohol allegedly back to your home state, like you're gonna get the spotlight from the Department of Revenue. They don't joke around with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you've been involved with a lot of distribution, so you're especially close to it. You don't want to mess around with it at all. They do not joke around. They do not have a sense of humor, and they know the letter of the law. So the thing I've always heard people say is ignorance of the law is no excuse, and I think that's frequently used. Though I think sometimes if you go to court, sometimes they'll say, well, there is some reasonable things where nobody could possibly know or adhere to certain things. So that can be overturned. But yeah, I wonder with this, and that wasn't lost on me. It's like, why is a Wisconsin brewery having their beer brewed in a different state? And it didn't say it wasn't by them, so maybe they just have a facility in a different state. But I kind of also thought that maybe they're doing some contract brewing, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's probably what's going on here is, if he's selling it all of these limited time offering beers, through online sales before they've even had a chance to be brewed, he's probably having all of his core beers, the stuff that keeps the lights on, contract brewed in a different brewery. And clearly he's located close enough that it makes sense that he found someplace in Illinois that was willing to cut him a better deal than someplace in Wisconsin. I don't know if he can claim ignorance of the law or if he's going to garner any goodwill from the judge to try and get either fines reduced or dropped entirely. But yeah, you're right. This is only going to get a little spicier as this story progresses.
Yeah, good luck to Guy. I don't know how it's going, and I think that I think in a lot of these cases there's a lot of regulatory overreach, and I would like it if people could just, like, it's a brewery, they sell beer. They had another brewery brew it for them because they couldn't handle the capacity. What's the problem here? I get it. They want their taxes. Just pay the taxes. I definitely see that argument. But yeah, we won't beat this dead horse anymore. We'll keep an eye on it, though. We'll keep an eye on that dead horse and see if it needs more beating in the future. Yes.
So, Brian, in the past, we've talked a lot about science and beer. It looks like there was a reveal about gluten-free beer.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting one. So if you happen to be one of the millions of craft beer fans who reach for gluten-free beer options frequently, or you brew your own gluten-free beer, as some people do, you're definitely going to want to hear about it. A new study reveals that standard tests used to detect gluten aren't entirely accurate, and This applies to beer and to, I think, the grains that are being used to brew the beer. They found that some barley beers sitting on shelves in Germany, where the study was done, with gluten-free labels, actually contain sneaky gluten residues. They tested 21 different gluten-free beers, which is honestly, that's a surprising number of options in Germany. So you go Germany with your gluten-free options. I don't think we have that many here, but anyway, they tested 21 different gluten-free beers to come to this conclusion. These leftover gluten residues can potentially trigger a reaction in people with celiac disease, but standard tests will completely miss them. The only way the researchers could detect the residue was with an entirely new process they pioneered, they developed with some cutting-edge technology. I don't understand the technology, so I won't even try to explain it. But let's just, spectrometry, gas spectrum. I can't even say the thing. We'll move on. It's really sciencey and it's very expensive. Now, technically, a beer doesn't have to contain zero gluten to be labeled gluten-free. By various international guidelines, a food is considered gluten-free if gluten concentration is no more than 20 milligrams per kilogram, or under exactly 0.002% of a kilogram, or any volume. So 0.002% is all you can have in there, and it's considered gluten-free by normal standards in most places. The thinking is that at this level, most people with celiac disease can tolerate the food or the beer without having any kind of symptoms to it. But as anyone with celiac disease can probably vouch for, they do sometimes still have issues with gluten-free beers and food. And I've heard people talking about it. I'm like, yeah, you should try that gluten-free beer. It's like, oh yeah, I did. It doesn't work for me. I'm like, I had no idea how that could be. Like, I thought that was all in their head, honestly. I really did. Apparently not. So yeah, this means that not all gluten-free beers are the same, obviously. Some may cause issues while others don't. Some may truly be gluten-free and others may have a lot more left than we previously thought. And if you want a guarantee of absolutely zero gluten in your beer, you have to go hit up a brewery like Holidaily that brews exclusively with alternate grains that have never had gluten in them to begin with. I bring them up because I happen to know they were on the show going back a number of years, back when we actually were on the radio. And I remember that. It's like that's their whole thing. Like, they don't just do gluten reduced or like extracted. Like, they don't ever have anything in their brewery that they brew with that actually has gluten in it. I think if you go to their brewery, they do sell cans of non-alcoholic beers that do have some gluten in them, but they weren't produced there. So yeah, that's the only way you can be sure. The only other thing you can do if you have a sensitivity is to just test the things. Like, do you have a reaction? Write it off. I mean, they're doing the best they can. The technology isn't as good as everybody thought it was. That's basically what it comes down to. So yeah, unfortunate, but this means that in the future, there will be better ways of detecting this, and we'll probably get to a point where you can actually trust the label.
No, this is extremely crucial because those people that do have celiac disease or have a high sensitivity to gluten, I mean, it's crucial that they need to, if they're drinking something that they reasonably believe is gluten-free or better than that 20 milligram per kilogram metric, I mean, this new testing thing is going to be huge for that industry and huge for their state of mind.
Yeah, they have to come up with a way of making this affordable and more widely available. The interesting thing is the story talked about two different tests running on the same beers, and those two different like standard tests that people can use. One of them said a beer passed, and another one said it didn't. So there's not even it's not even consistent between the standard tests. So they're missing things. Some miss more than others. So I guess the one thing you could do is, if you're producing this stuff, is use the test that's more sensitive, that results in more positives, because that's probably the one that's going to be closer to accurate. I'm just saying that. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so this is just a guy's opinion who's drinking beer talking about it on the podcast. So yeah, don't sue me,
Brian. So Brian, have you been paying attention to all of the World Cup chatter that's been happening the last week or so? Honestly, as the world is starting to coalesce into North America for the FIFA World Cup 2026.
Yeah. I've there's been talk, during the day with people. I think that at some point all of it comes up. I'm kind of sort of following it. I'm not huge into the World Cup, but I've watched it. I've actually watched the game or two or parts of it. It's fun. It's a big spectacle. It's it's been good for the beer news because we did have a story last week about all the beer that these guys will be drinking, but
Mm-hmm.
that dovetails nicely into the next story, which is about Scotland's big show up in here in North America. So Scotland's their fan base has made an unforgettable boozy entrance into the North America to support their team for the first game they're playing in here in North America. The airlines to start off with weren't prepared for the sheer volume of drinking the Scottish fans plan to do on their journey over to watch the opening match against Haiti. That's in Boston. I want to say Friday. By the time the show drops, I think that will have been yesterday. So when the plane landed, the news got out quickly that fans drank every single beer on board, and they did this well in advance of the flight's arrival. Like, the flight wasn't even beginning to descend. The beer was already gone. So not only that, but some fans were actually pre-gaming starting the morning they got up to catch the flight. I read for some people, they started drinking at 1 a.m. when they got up, well before they even got on the plane. So they were drinking on the way to the plane. They drank on the plane. And then when they got here, they were talking about, we got to go find a place to go get some beer. There's some, that's basically what one of the interviews I saw said. Not only that, there's increasing news about the volume of beer that's being sold in Boston right now. Hennessy's bar in downtown Boston says they tripled their St. Patrick's Day sales and sold out of beer altogether on Sunday night of this last weekend here, I should say. They say they've never seen anything like it in their 30 years of business. They've never seen this kind of volume. I don't think they've ever been drunk dry, basically. One beer store sold out of Budweiser and Corona on last Saturday. And one of the doors on the refrigerator even broke because it was being opened and closed so many times. They wore out the refrigerator door buying beer. That is wild. Reportedly, Scottish fans drank Sam Adams out of Boston Lager at their brew pub there. The pub. Actually, I'm not sure if it's a brew pub or not. But anyway, Sam Adams had to go get an emergency delivery of their own beer to keep the beer flowing. And they're calling them the Tartan Army because they're wearing kilts. But the Tartan Army also apparently drank all of the Tennant's Lager that's available in the city. That's a beer from Scotland. So they drank all of that first. I'm not sure if there's any of it left. And if there is, they're probably drinking on that right now. But I definitely believe that the stat we did report last week that World Cup fans will drink 1 billion beers over the course of the event. And the Scottish are like saying, well, that's what we're having. What are the rest of you guys having? So hope there's some beer left when they're done. They need to go home so we can recover.
It's been really cool to see America through the eyes of the foreign fans that are coming into the country to witness their teams play. You know, of course, everyone's heard of Freddie, the German that's touring the South East. He's down in like Texas right now, I believe, in Houston. But like, what was cool is just the other day I was watching videos of the Tartan Army, the Scottish Tartan Army, at a Red Sox game, and they did a parade. They had bagpipes. They filled out the stands. They sang nonstop. The Boston fans, the Red Sox fans, loved it. They're like, "Oh, can you guys just stay here? Can you just all move here and join our city's culture and improve upon it?" So Boston loves having the Scots around.
Scotland has single-handedly saved beer for the year, I think. I don't know. What's the what was the thing you said about the German guy that's touring? Maybe I don't know about this. What's this?
There's this fella from Germany named Freddie on X. He's posting these updates where they've basically been just touring America by a road trip to go through the different cities for where their Germany is playing their matches. And so they went to Buc-ee's, they've been to McDonald's a bunch of times. They, through listening to music on the radio, found out about Ella Langley, that country music star right now. And they are now self-described Ella fellas. And the radio show hosts were actually talking about them and said, "Hey, Fred, if you're listening, this one's for you." And then just proceeded to play Ella Langley. The last update I saw, they were put up in a 5-star luxury hotel by JJ Watts, which is that quarterback for the Houston football team. And they're just loving it. They are having the time of their lives. And it's, like I said, it's really cool to see so many different people, common folk who come to America and are actually being able to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, I did see somebody make a comment on it. It was somebody from Europe, and I don't remember where. Maybe I saw the guy you're talking about how it's nice. It's so much different to be here and experience the people and the thing. You hear about what we're like overseas, but you just hear about our head of state and the various political things we're doing. The people on the ground are so much different. Everything here is way different than what's in the news. That's not real. That's manufactured. That's a few crazy political people with power and money and all that doing their thing. The reality is that most of us are nothing like that, and you'll have a good time if you come here. So if you're listening and you're in Europe, come on over. We don't bite unless you want us to, and only as hard as you want us to. So yeah,
Absolutely. So speaking of having a good time, Brian, let's give some love to our friendly beer bar, Chicken Tap.
yes, a good idea. So last week I really hit our palates hard with the big boozy summertime stouts. That was great, wasn't it? But this week I'm going to swing back to the easy drinking patio beers just to keep things interesting and maybe give us a bit of a break. But the phrase easy drinking still covers a lot of ground when it comes to the beer options at Truck and Tap. It can be as simple as Jenny Cream or Guinness. Both of those are pouring at every Truck and Tap location, so you can get those anytime you want. Or something more interesting and more in the craft realm of things. In my Truck and Tap beer picks for the week this week, I'm going to stick with the craft beer options because we are a craft beer show. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, I'm going with Salem Lager from Notch. I think this is the first time I've seen a beer from this Massachusetts brewery on tap here in Georgia, so I have to get that. I'm like, you see something new, you got to get it. Salem Lager is described as a Bavarian-style Helles lager with light aromas of bread, grape, and honey, and it sounds really intriguing. I like the sound of all that together, and in a beer I can kind of envision that being a very tasty beer. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Very from Halfway Crooks. Very is the long boil brother of another Halfway Crooks Czech Pilsner called Var. They just added a Y to it because I guess the Y covers the long boil part of it. You can expect a crisp and clean beer with some good malt expression and a little hop bitterness to go along with it. And bonus, it's on the side pull tap, and you know how I love that. I think we all love that. And if you've never had beer on a side pull tap, try it. See what you think of it. Yes, and at Truck and Tap Alfredo, my pick is Hella Vienna Lager from New Realm. As the name heavily implies, Hella Vienna Lager is a Vienna lager, just a hell of one. And if you're a fan of Georgia Tech, bonus, it's the official craft beer of Georgia Tech Athletics. And if you're not, you can just enjoy a crushable amber lager with toasty malt notes and a touch of hoppiness. You don't have to suddenly start supporting a team if you don't want to. You can just enjoy the beer. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Sour Continuum, Strawberry Margarita from Six Bridges. There's no surprise here. This variant of the Sour Continuum series is a margarita-inspired fruited Berliner. They added limes, some strawberry puree, and a little bit of salt to this beer. It kind of sounds like it's bordering on being a Goza, but either way, I'll bet this is great. I think everything I've had in the Sour Continuum series I've really liked. I've been really impressed by, so I definitely recommend this. I wouldn't pass it up because I love a margarita and I love strawberries, so the two of those together, yeah, I got to have that. But anyway, there you have my beer picks for the week. Get out there and have a beer or two. As always, if you'd like to see what the full tap list is before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps do change quickly. You never know what great new beer is going to go on and which of these might just disappear out from under you. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, trivia, karaoke, live music, they might be playing World Cup games. I actually don't know. They probably are. And other stuff, you can also find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check that out for sure. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. Well, Brian, we've talked a lot about Tilray this year, and the last time we talked about them was buying the Brewdog assets. What are they doing with those locations?
Yeah, we did some speculating on that about it. Was it a smart call for them to do it? I think they got him for a steal, which it was definitely a good thing. That's kind of Tilray's MO with these things. We were asking, what are they going to do with all these locations? What are they going to be brewing at these places? What are they going to sell? Are they going to sell all of their stuff at these spots? What are they going to, will they be selling non-Brewdog beers internationally at some point in time? Well, this week we do have an answer to that. Tilray will indeed be selling beer from their staple stable, not staple, of acquired craft brands at Brewdog bars, at least in the UK, probably in the US, but they specifically commented on the UK locations. This will probably include offerings from all of the above: Sweetwater, 10 Barrel, Montauk, Shock Top, Terrapin, Blue Point, Green Flash, and Alpine. Quite a boon for those people over there. They'll be available on tap at the Brewdog bars, and eventually some packaged beers may end up in stores in the UK as well. That is their plan. They'd like to get it out there, but they're starting with draft beer to get things kicked off. Not only that, but they actually plan to brew these beers at Brewdog's brewery in Scotland in the future. So it's kind of wild to think about Sweetwater 420 being brewed in Scotland, but the chances are very good that Sweetwater 420, possibly Sweetwater 4 IPA, some of our stuff from Terrapin, it's going to end up being brewed and sold in Scotland. I have no idea how things are going to be received over there, but I would never have predicted either of those things. But I also would never have predicted that Terrapin and Sweetwater both would be owned by the same company at any point in time. So, yeah, I have to wonder.
I also would not have predicted that they would be both owned by the same parent company. But that is one of the nice things about having a parent company that is now an international beverage producer, and so you can just send that email that recipe off to Brewdog Scotland and then have it being made there locally. So yeah, it is kind of wild to think about, like, Hopsecutioner from Terrapin and 420 from Sweetwater.
Hopsecutioner. Mm-hmm. What if they'll start getting long beers over there? I don't know if that's even a thing over there or not. I have no idea.
I don't know if long beers are a thing. I do know though that IPAs are consumed over there, because I mean, you remember when Lagunitas got sold to Heineken, and you started seeing Lagunitas beers being distributed in the UK. So there is some market for IPAs, and shoot, we've got a patron supporter right now, Tyler, who's in Europe doing a beer tour for a vacation, and one of the photos that he posted was about an IPA when he was in Italy. So there are IPAs that are being produced over there. I don't know how well an American IPA is going to do, but I think you know what? It has potential to sell.
I think there's going to be some interest in it just because this is, an American beer, basically. Mm-hmm. Just because it's so difficult. You go anything that's not already just distributed, like getting something off the beaten path, you kind of want to try it. Like, if there's a craft beer scene in any country. I know Italy's got a good craft beer scene going on, and the UK's definitely got one. They're going to have some. I do wonder how our stuff will stack up against theirs, and it really will depend on how well it's made when it's over there. I also kind of wonder if Nick Knock from Sweetwater is going to end up going over there and doing a little brewing over there. He's got to be a little excited, assuming they're keeping him on the loop on this, and I would think that they would. So, yeah, Scott's on Four Loko makes sense.
Yeah, we've got a commenter, Zach West, on YouTube saying that he saw some Scots drinking our Four Loko over there. It's a lower percentage.
Oh, you know what? It's lower. That's not so loco.
It's 3 Loko, maybe 2 Loko over there.
Yeah, it's barely 2 Loko. Well, they're considerably further removed from the Spanish speakers probably than most people, anybody over here are. So they probably don't understand what loco means. Like, it's crazy. Like, 2, lower percentage, not so crazy. So, yeah.
That's a good point. Well, Brian, the collaboration that we've all been waiting for is ketchup and beer.
That's what you've been waiting for, right? Has that always been on your? Yeah, this is a story that's so odd that I'm like, ordinarily I'd see this and I'm like, no, this is marketing nonsense, and pass it by. There's so much level of oddness to it, and I think that maybe that's marketing genius that I have to talk about it. So, yes, all right, getting into it. After more than 150 years of appearing side by side, and I pulled this right from the press release, Heinz and Heineken have launched their official collaboration. And if you're like me, you're probably wondering, where have Heinz ketchup and Heineken been side by side for 150 years? I guess the answer that you would originally come up with is, the refrigerator door, perhaps. Though refrigerators haven't been around for 150 years. And maybe they mean the dinner table. And like, has the Dutch lager and the American condiment, have they actually been together being sold in the same place that long? And I looked into this because I like that. I'm going to look into these things. It seems unlikely. Heinz ketchup was first sold in Europe in 140 years ago. So not 150, but 140. And Heineken wasn't sold in the U.S. until 1933. So I don't know where they've been hanging out for 150 years. Maybe there's one guy's house that he's had both. But anyway, in short, I don't really get the connection, but I can tell you what they're collaborating on. And it isn't a ketchup flavored beer or a beer infused condiment. Both of those would be logical. It's something kind of weirder and perhaps dumber. It's stranger than ketchup beer, yeah, which at this point isn't a surprise to me. Their collaboration is basically a custom 6-pack holding 5 Heineken beers and a single lone Heinz tomato ketchup. And I kid you not about this. The 6-pack holder cleverly merges the Heinz and the Heineken logos to spell out Heineken on the 6-pack. That's it. That's it. And if you'd like to get one of these weird collaborations, and I don't know, it seems like a stretch to even call it a collaboration, they will be available this summer in limited quantities. And if you miss out, honestly, you could just buy a 6-pack of Heineken and a bottle of ketchup and drink one of the Heinekens, and that's it. You got it. So, my immediate thought after reading this article is, man, I hope Pabst sees this and shows them how to do it right with a pickle pack, 5 PBRs and a jar of pickles. That's a collaboration I can get behind. That one makes sense. I'm like, wait, a pickle for my beer. I've got all the pickles I need. It doesn't have to be a full jar of pickles. It does have to probably be shelf stable or refrigerated, but that would be amazing. And that would sell as quickly as their Grillo's collaboration did, because that was gone in a week. I went looking for another one of those because I actually liked it. They were gone. There was none of them left. So those just blew out. There's another idea I came up with is maybe Tecate can do a dirty ashtray pack, and they could put in a bottle of hot sauce with the 5 cans, and you can make your own dirty ashtray. You remember that? Put a little hot sauce and pepper, and I think it's lime or tagine on the thing. Those are very good, and that'd be a killer in the summer, really. But if you see this, Mo Mike Nate, are you gonna buy it? That's my question.
As the anti-condiment fella in the group, absolutely not. I'm excited by the packaging. I gotta be honest. I read the headline, I saw the photo, and I was like, okay, I know what this is. It's a mistake, but I know what this is. I am so happy that this is not a like ketchup flavored beer. I thought that was so like it wasn't even left field for Heineken. It was like, hey, we are one county over from the stadium. Like that's how far out of left field I thought it was. And I'm so happy that it's just a marketing ploy and a single bottle of ketchup. No, I'm not going to buy this because I don't like ketchup. I like Heineken and I will drink the other 5 Heinekens, but there's no way that I'm going to go looking around for this.
So you're happy that it isn't a ketchup beer because you do not feel the pressure to buy it as though it were a ketchup beer. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. If Heineken and Heinz ketchup collaborated to release a Heinz ketchup flavored like mishmash flavor with Heineken beer, I still would not buy this.
Oh, got it. I'd feel more of a pressure if it were an actual like either a beer flavored condiment. So if it were ketchup with beer in it, I don't know how that would go, but I would almost feel obligated to get it. But definitely if it were a ketchup flavored beer, I've got to try that. But the fact that this is seriously a 6-pack that has got a ketchup bottle and Heineken in it, I don't even use ketchup that often. How this is at most you buy it one time as a joke. When they say this is limited, this better be very, very limited because I can't imagine anybody would buy this more than once. Because how long do you have seriously, I've never seen a bottle of ketchup last less than like a year in a fridge. Like you've got it for at least a year, and I really don't use it very often. But you don't even use it at all, right?
Correct. The only reason I would buy this is if I know I'm going to a buddy's house and we are grilling hot dogs. I'm going to buy a 6-pack of this so I can show up with 5 beers for me and a bottle of ketchup for the picnic table as we eat our hot dogs.
And you and everybody else will do the same thing. There'll be like 18 bottles of ketchup on the table. And
We're just gonna collect.
and you'll run out of beer. Like, maybe the thought is you've got the ketchup, you've got the beer, you can make your own ketchup beer. You drop a little in the bottom of a glass. Maybe, you know what? That's how this could actually go viral. Somebody on TikTok, it's got to be somebody much younger than me and probably much dumber than me, has got to put a little ketchup, maybe line the inside of a pint glass and then pour their Heineken on it, and they got to drink it and talk about how great it is, regardless of whether or not it's great or not. They got to do that.
I can just see, I can just see people drinking the 5 beers and the 6-pack, and then just going for it with that 6 bottle of Heinz ketchup and just chug a bottle of ketchup.
Put a straw in it, just pound it. Yeah, okay, so I gotta ask. You said you're anti-condiment. Are there any like mustard, horseradish, relish, any of those? Do you do any of those condiments at all? No condiments.
All of it. No, I'm not. The joke is I'm not saucy enough for condiments, but I like my spices.
Okay, all right. So no mayo either. Like,
no.
Do you eat your sandwiches? Are they dry? Do you just like dry bread and just whatever? Like
the
like
last
an animal?
thing I want when I'm eating the last thing I want when I'm eating a sandwich is, what if we made this bread moist? What if we made this bread soggier and damper? No, I don't want. I eat my sandwiches dry, just like I ate my cereal dry.
You ate your cereal dry too. Now I can understand. As a kid, I like most cereals dry, especially the ones with the marshmallows in it. And as an adult, milk doesn't agree with me so much. So I kind of get that. But man, bread can get kind of. So do you eat sub sandwiches or anything like that, where there's a big amount of bread to go with it? And how do you deal with that?
I mean, when I go to, I'll get a pub sub, a Publix sandwich every once in a while, and I usually do the BLT or like a BLT with chicken tendies, as your beer suggests, on the sub as well. But in terms of like, am I putting a lot of spreads on there? No. Am I putting a lot of cheese on there? No, because like you, cheese doesn't really agree with me. And so no, yeah, usually it's generally a dry sandwich. I know I'm blowing your mind. I'm sorry to have this mid-show, this like mental explosion and implosion simultaneously.
Well, I knew that you were picky. I just didn't realize it applied to all condiments. I thought you were very selective about, things that would go on it, but every single condiment, I'm just going through my head of all the things. I'm like, it's not even butter on the bread. I'm like, wow, that's insane. That's wild.
I mean, butter, yeah, but
hold on.
Yeah.
That's maybe not a condiment, but hang on.
Yeah, I'm not that much of an evil masochist.
Grilled cheese. Do you do grilled cheese then? Because
I do.
So that's got cheese and butter and everything. Really? Okay.
And actually, I use mayonnaise to grill the bread, to toast the bread or whatever.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. And
that's one of the rare instances.
I guess I would add a lot of interesting flavor because mayo is basically egg and oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Do you do salads, and do you put salad dressing on any of your salads?
Only Caesar dressing.
All right, Caesar's fine. I'm down with that. One of the cheat things you can do is if you put on something like like pickled jalapenos or things like that, or pickles themselves, they add a little extra moisture. Do you do those either, or are those verboten as well?
No, and honestly, as much as I appreciate this bonus interview at the end of the episode, let's go back to the show notes that we have. Going back to the Heinz ketchup and Heineken collaboration. Brian, would you buy this?
Probably not. I think this is one of those cases where I would look at it and say, because I'm not a fan of ketchup. I like a lot of things. Though I gotta say that in recent times I've started doing things where I mix things in with ketchup. I've been experimenting with making my own fancy ketchups. It usually involves hot sauce. Sometimes I've mixed relish in them. I've tried different hot sauces. I've tried different spices in them. And I'm not a fan of ketchup by itself because I find it's just bland. It's just like ordinary. What's the word? It's like boring sweetness is what it is. Boring sweetness. I want something more to it. And I've found that one of my favorite things is to like go 50-50 with it and hot sauce. And trying to think of the particular, not Valentina. There's a particular do you do hot sauces? Is that something you do?
It makes
That's
my
another
mouth feel,
condiment.
it makes my mouth feel like static. So no, I do not do hot sauces.
Your mouth feel like static. I'm trying to think of what that. Yeah, that's common at breakfast places. Anyway, one of the red hot sauces I like a lot when mixed with ketchup, like a 50-50 ratio. But it's no longer ketchup. It's like a sweetened version of the hot sauce. I find that's very good. But I'm not a fan of ketchup by itself. So my chances of buying one of these 6-packs, the only reason I would do it is to get a picture of it, and I can take a picture of it in the store without buying it. So I don't think I'd get it. I'm not a big Heineken drinker. I think it's just not a great beer in my opinion, a little too sweet, and ketchup is way too sweet for me. And it has good applications on a burger with other things, but it's one of my least favorite condiments. So yeah, so the answer is no. That's a lot of words to say no.
Well, there you have it, folks. Neither of us would get the Heineken and Heinz ketchup collaboration. Let us know in the comments if you guys think that you would go out and seek this out.
If you do get it, line the inside of a pint glass with some of the ketchup, pour the beer in, drink it, and tell us how that is.
Even if it's not good, tell us how good it is.
Yeah, so you have my permission to cuss at me. It's fine. I think that about covers what we have. Do you have anything else, Mo Mike Nate?
No, sir, I'm good.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for the show this week. Thank you again for hanging out with us. We hope you had a good time. We definitely did, even with all the condiment talk. If you did have a good time, we hope you will support us by telling a friend to check out the show. And, if you've told them before, remind them. They may have forgotten. They're busy. This is a good show. It's worth reminding them a few times, perhaps, every other day. Not every day, but, give them a breather until they check it out. But you should subscribe if you haven't already. Please do that. And if you really, really enjoy what we're doing here, we'd appreciate your support on Patreon. Just head over to patreon.com/beerguys. There are all kinds of fun perks, including access to our Discord server where we talk about beer and other things all week long with the Patreon supporters. And we do an after party after each show for our Patreon supporters. They'll join us. We'll have some beers. We'll talk about everything under the sun, the show, everything else too. And with that said, we hope you have a great week, great weekend, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers.